It's lovely to see you all. I hope you're all well. We are in a very crappy weather kind of day here in the UK. Look at all this horrible rain. Wonder if I can get this window down. There is actually a nice view over there. Can you see that? That's part of the Lake District near Bassenthwaite, if you know the Lake District. Very nice indeed. Hope that comes out okay. So today, what are we doing? I'm going to talk about what it's actually like living with a 6-litre V8, VXR8 or HSV R8 Club Sport, if you prefer to call it that. They were produced in Australia. Vauxhall had pretty much nothing to do with them, so I'm happy with calling it a HSV R8, even though they were sold in the UK as a VXR8. But Vauxhall had nothing to do with it, apart from just the marketing and selling in the UK. The designing, the production was all in Australia, so I'm happy to call it a HSV R8. So it's a 6-litre V8 in the UK, where a lot of people just have small cars, small capacity cars as well. What are the issues? I suppose fuel. Let's start off with fuel. The most obvious one. Yes, in town it is atrocious. If you're stop-start trafficking all over the place, like in a little town or village, yeah, it is quite crappy, if I'm honest. The fuel consumption really goes down. However, if you're on a longer trip and you're getting a constant sort of 50 miles per hour, 60 miles per hour, even on the motorway as well, if you're on a decent run, I can actually eke out 25 to 30 to the gallon out of this car. It's a little bit different if I take it on a B road, a country road, and I'm sort of going on and off the throttle. Yeah, probably about 20 miles per gallon on sort of like a relaxed but enjoyable country drive. If you took it on a track day and you were full throttle all the time, I'm pretty sure it'd be single figures. It's all down to how you drive, and that's kind of, you know, as expected, I suppose. I mean, I had a Golf R, which is close to 400 horsepower. The particular one I had, like a Generation 7 Mark 7 one. And yeah, that was mapped like 393 horsepower. And to be honest, it's not that much different. When you put your foot down in the Golf, the fuel would just go as well. So it's not that much different, really. What are some of the challenges? The biggest challenge I find is actually the size of the car. So it's 5 meters long and it's about 2.1 meters wide. So sometimes it's a little bit big for UK roads, like in particularly tight country roads. I live near the Lake District and some of the roads are particularly tight. Sometimes you're sort of wincing, and you know, if a car is quite wide on the other side, like a Range Rover or something, sometimes you have to go really quite slow, just, you know, protect the wing mirrors, things like that. Parking as well can be a little bit interesting. This particular car has parking sensor at the rear, which I'm very glad of, but none at the front, and the bonnet is quite long. So occasionally I find myself parking like an absolute numpty about sort of 4 feet away from a wall or something, where I could actually, you know, move another 2 foot, another 3 foot closer to it. So I generally have smaller cars, like smaller sports cars. Even my 911 is sort of 4.3 meters long. So, and that's a longish sort of sports car. My MX-5s that I used to have were like about 4 meters, and the Westfield Megablade that I've got at the moment is 3.6 meters long, so it's really tiny in comparison. So that's one of the challenges, really. What's it really like to live with? It's actually a joy. You don't need to scream it around. You can just poodle along, and it sounds fantastic no matter what you do. Even starting it up is like an event. It's absolutely just... It is the best sounding car I have ever had. Like, without a doubt. It purrs along nicely. The second you put your foot down and give it some proper throttle, it sounds so meaty and ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it is effectively, I think, sometimes a four-door Corvette. like a practical Corvette. It's got a massive boot, you've got the rear seats and everything like that. It's very usable. I haven't really had that many problems apart from, you know, town driving and the fuel consumption being quite low. However, on a run it's fine, as I mentioned. It is quite prone to huffing up, fogging up, whatever you want to call it. As you can see, the windows, I've only been talking to you for a couple of minutes really, and it's already gone. And this does happen quite a lot. It does have a very good aircon system, like one touch, and it clears the screen very quickly. But I find myself doing it quite a lot. There are no water leaks. I haven't found any water leaks. There's no wet carpets. No water's getting in. I think it's just it's quite a fair old big size in here, and perhaps maybe it's more suited to like Australian kind of climate, you know, a drier climate, which is obviously where it is produced. For instance, like the cold mornings, I really wish there was some heated seats. However, there is no button anywhere for heated seats, so these seats are quite cold, particularly in UK winters. But you know, it's not the end of the world. Apart from that, the experience has been pretty much amazing. Road tax, which we have to pay in the UK, is extortionate, and I hate having to pay it. It is a lot of money for this car. It's £760 a year. However, it is a 6-litre V8, so I understand why that price is so high. But it's still an awful lot of money to pay every year. So that's one of the gripes. Insurance isn't too bad. Insurance is sort of around about the same sort of price as my 911 for insurance, which is surprisingly cheap. Around sort of 300 or so a year, so nothing too crazy. It is a bit of a shame it's so wet and horrible outside. I was going to show you the car a little bit. Perhaps we'll have a little walk around. I'll give you a little walk around, just break it up a little bit. 2 seconds. Okay, let's get out. Oh my gosh, it's so windy and rainy and horrible. Have a little look at the view though. It's a rather nice view, I would say. We're in a nice area here. Just over there you can see the Bassenthwaite Lake. And here we go. Yeah. It has recently had a wash, however it's obviously chucking it down. But it's still, it cleans up rather nicely. Not too bad, I would say. For an old girl from 2007. Sorry about the road noise there. It's not too easy to find quiet places to film sometimes. Yeah, 2007 car, and we have no issues with rust on the rear arches. The wheels are still looking pretty good. The brakes are lovely, still huge and powerful. The wheels did look a little dirty then, but we have been going through quite a lot of muddy puddles and everything. But yeah, overall the car is in great condition, and it seems to be doing really well for its age, I would say. One of the huge points of this car is this boot. Look, check out how big this boot is. That is cavernous, like absolutely gigantic. Doesn't everyone have a towel in the boot? Yeah, we have a Springer Spaniel. He loves going in rivers and anything that's muddy, so we always have a towel in the car. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of show you an update of how she's looking. I've had her for a few months now, and we've got no problems with the paint on the front. Some cars you have like really very thin paint on the front that stone chips really easily. No issues at all, really. Yeah, I am, however, getting absolutely soaked, so I'm going to pop back into the car and we'll resume from there. All right. Okay, and we're back. Yeah, really, it's quite a miserable wet day today, but we'll carry on. We'll get on with it. So as you can see, it's lasting very nicely. I'm having no real issues particularly. The only issues I've had with this particular car is some trim has come off. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there should be a holder for that sun visor. That has come off. To be fair, it'll be quite an easy fix. You know, I mean, that is all that's gone wrong. Let's talk more about the ownership of this particular car in the UK, and in the UK specifically, and that's important. Now, this is an Australian kind of based car, designed and made in Australia and sold in the UK effectively under the Vauxhall name as a VXR8. The issues with that is that in terms of getting parts and things like that, it can be quite tricky. Now, there are a couple of specialists in the UK, but I have found that they really have a lottery at the minute. There's not many specialists, so they can kind of charge whatever they want, and I find them particularly expensive. I would say they're overpriced, actually, personally. I'll give you an example. When I first got this car, it had a faulty oil pressure gauge. Trace it back to an oil pressure sensor fault, and I obviously needed a new pressure sensor, so oil pressure sensor. So I got in contact with one of these specialists, and the amount they wanted for a genuine oil pressure sensor was £40 more than any other supplier I found. For no other reason. It was the exact same part, a genuine part, and it was £40 more for no reason other than I was buying it from a specialist. So there is a certain amount of HSV tax, or VXR8 tax, in the UK. For example, brake discs that are incredibly expensive on this car. Aftermarket parts as well. Because there's not many 6-litre V8 cars in the UK, particularly like this, for example, getting uprated engine parts, you're having to look at stockists in Australia or in the US, because it shares the same engine with like a Corvette. It's an LS2 V8, so it shares the same engine with a Corvette. So, for example, if you want to put a uprated cam in it, you're probably looking at Australian and US stockists. Any engine parts, any uprated inlet manifolds, things like that. It's called a fast inlet manifold, fast intake manifold, which is particularly good for the LS2 that I quite fancy fitting on this. However, are there any UK stockists? No, nothing. So you're looking at having to buy from elsewhere, either Australia or the US, and then you've got import tax. You know, our sodding government wants to tax us to death. If you're not from the UK, we are taxed, and then taxed again. It is absolutely ridiculous. So if you buy anything from overseas, there's then import tax on it as well. So it ends up being really quite expensive. So if you're wanting to tune the car yourself, it's quite expensive. If you want to take it to one of only a couple specialists who do offer supercharging and cam upgrades and things like that, again, it's really quite expensive. I'm in a position where I'm kind of lucky with this car in that it's already had a bit of money spent on it. Reportedly about 440 horsepower. It's had a Walkinshaw performance remap. It has a Wartech exhaust system on it, like a switchable one, stuck in loud, unfortunately. It has like a braided intake system as well. And it goes really quite well, to be honest with you. It's had the upgraded LS7 clutch put in it. So it's already had quite a lot of money spent on it. It was a good buy, even though it's high mileage. It's had a lot of maintenance, a lot of work done to it, which is the perfect type of car. A car that's used and maintained is the best car you can get, rather than a low mileage, hardly used, hardly any money spent in it type of car. But it's got that magic under 60,000 mile or whatever sort of tag applied to it. I think it's absolute rubbish. When I drive this, even though it's done 116,000 miles now, do I get any less enjoyment than driving a car, exact same car that had 60,000 miles on it? It's exactly the same ownership experience. I would argue a lot of things on a high mileage car have already been addressed, rather than the lower mileage car probably wheel bearings, things like that, your brake discs, all the sort of stuff that starts to wear out and gets expensive. You start to get those big bills, whereas with something like this, a lot of these parts of rudder have been replaced, are actually in quite good position. But we are going a little off topic there. Yeah, so apart from the parts supply being too expensive, I think, in the UK, one thing I've noticed, I've had quite a few sports cars. I've had Porsches, obviously I've got the Westfield kit car as well. Have a little look at my videos if you haven't had a look at those before. It'd be hugely appreciated if you fancy having a little explore. I have a Porsche 911. I've had all sorts of different kind of cars. This is quite unique. It has quite a lot of character. It's the engine is the biggest part of this car. You basically just sat on top of the huge 6-litre V8 that can be docile and drive nicely and relatively quietly and can cruise really nicely. Or if you're in the mood, you put your foot down, you go right to the upper end of the rev range, and it absolutely, it really motors, it gets going. My point was actually leading to the fact that I'd had so many interesting and sports car sort of type of cars in the past. This car gets the most attention, almost more than my Westfield. Sometimes my bright yellow Westfield on a sunny day, driving through the Lake District, like a town like Keswick or something like that, you do get quite a lot of looks in that. But this car gets an awful lot as well. I think a lot of people don't know what it is, which is fair enough. I think there's a tiny amount that may know, but to put it into perspective, I don't think I have ever seen a VXR8, HSV R8, on the road since they were produced. Apart from obviously this one, which I have, up to that point, I don't think I'd ever seen one on the road. They're quite a rare thing, which is quite nice actually. I went to a car show with this when I first got the car, and I knew 2 or 3 people there who we regularly sort of chat with, and I arrived in this new car and they were interested to have a little look around it. A lot of people didn't actually come and have a look at it. Now, I don't think it was because they didn't like the car. I think it's because they didn't know what it was. They simply just didn't know what it was. The car doesn't have the Vauxhall badges on. It has the Holden badges. So like on the steering wheel, if you look just there, that's the Holden badge there. All of the badging has been changed to Holden. Some people don't like that. Some people say it should keep Vauxhall. It's my car. I like the Holden, so it'll stay as Holden. So with the Holden badging, I think people just don't know what it is. So there's quite a nice element of exclusivity and rareness to this car, which you don't get with a lot of cars really. If you had a Porsche 911, people know what Porsche 911 is. So yeah, I think it's kind of fun. It has 2 edges in that I can park this wherever I want and not worry about somebody keying it or trying to nick something off it. Whereas if I had, I don't know, let's say maybe a Lotus Exige or a newer 911, a GT3 or something like that, you'd get a lot of attention parked at the side of the street. You'd worry about it. Is somebody, I don't know, going to key it or something like that? Or they're going to sit on the bonnet and try and get selfies, you know, for the Insta or whatever. A lot of people just walk straight past it. So it's almost sort of a Jekyll and Hyde in terms of character. The people that do know, however, do notice it. And I've had quite a few folk flash and give me like a thumbs up, which is very nice of them. I mean, maybe it was a car behind, who knows. I think it was me. But so yeah, that's quite a nice experience. The other side of things, let me just get the keys, 2 seconds. Every time I start this car up, it's just an event. I hate the beeping. The beeping isn't good. Let's turn that wiper off. Right, we're in neutral. beep again. It should stop. There we go. Every time I start it, I obviously don't rev it like that when it's cold, but it is nice and warm at the minute. Yeah, it sounds really, really good. So overall, my 6-litre V8 in the UK experience, yeah, awesome. If you're in a position to do it, like I've said in my other videos, if you've watched them before, if you're really into cars, 2026 is the year to really enjoy them, because time is running out for us to enjoy daft, stupid cars like this. You know, the EV revolution or whatever, I have no interest in it, by the way, is coming. There are more and more cars, EV cars on the road. The infrastructure is improving. The cost of running something like this is soon going to be a bit too ridiculous. So if you've ever fancied something daft and stupid, buy it, do it, sell the kids, sell the kidney, whatever. Enjoy it, and yeah, make 2026 an enjoyable year of car ownership. Would I recommend getting a 6-litre V8 for £10,000? Hell yeah, definitely. Who the hell wouldn't? Yeah, it goes for a bit of fuel around town, but you know, on a run it's fine. Every drive is an event, and it's hugely practical. I mean, you can do whatever you want with this. As I say, it's kind of like a big 4-door Corvette. The driving sensation of this car bellies, like the size of it. It doesn't quite translate. You'd have thought a car that weighs 1,800 kilograms with a big 6-litre V8 is not going to be very dynamic. However, I can only talk about this car. This has had the Peders of brake suspension put on it. It's had a lot of poly bushes put on it by previous owners in terms of the suspension. Regular alignment checks, things like that. And it drives fantastically. I mean, it's more fun to drive than my Porsche 911 Carrera 4S. I've said it. It is more fun. The gear change is better. The gear ratios are better. The amount of grunt it's got is better. It sounds better. There's no compromise, apart from it costs a few quid. And that is that, you know, kind of everything in life. You know, you want a nice house, you want a nice car, you gotta spend to do it. It's one of those things. But yeah, slightly different from my last video, which was, you know, the maintenance and upgrades on the Westfield. That was part 1, the last video. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Part 2 is coming up very shortly. We did come across some problems. Something broke. Entirely my fault. I'm an absolute numpty, and metal broke. It's not good. Find out in the next video exactly what happened. But it's all fixable. It'll all be fine. And yeah, other than that, I hope you've had a lovely week, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, see you later.